already. My best side. That's right. I'll get that side.
Wrong ear.
Hello, welcome, and good evening to the Politics Social on Politics Social. Tonight, I'm joined by Rachel Harris, who's there with her bandage on her ear. We've got Ollie Bowler Hat Man, and we've also got Mike Dix, and he's got his little Maggia Trump there, Trumpton Trump, who's got obviously his little Hear No Evil band-aid on his ear. Well, it's not a band-aid, it's more like a sanitary towel on his ear.
It's a mini My Pillow, isn't it? I think.
Josh is in the chat. He's saying that we're not going to get started for another 3 minutes. In your face, Josh. We're here already.
We're on time.
Yeah, you take that, Super Tiny. So how's everyone doing this week? It's been a bit of a roller coaster, hasn't it? Jesus Christ!
Oh my God.
Where do we start?
Did anybody predict assassination attempts last Friday?
No. Well, no. We might have thought that would be something that would happen maybe at some point.
Yeah, I thought something like this would happen, but to Trump, I didn't think it would be. I think it would have been to Biden. I think Biden to me was if I had my bingo card, like I think it would have been Biden. I would have expected this to happen to not
it's
Trump.
interesting you say that because apparently the shooter was following both of them around. It was just that Trump happened to do a rally really close to where he lived.
And Kate Middleton as well.
Yeah, that's right.
What, she was on the list as well?
She was.
She was apparently on the FBI's search list, and he was searching whether she was going to visit Pennsylvania anytime soon. Which is like,
He does know that she's suffering from cancer and she's getting treatment for it, right? I don't know. What do you know?
You
She's
know.
dead now. Who cares? Right, Scott is in the chat. Hello, Scott. He's connecting to audio. Welcome, Scott. Our resident tamed American. How you doing, mate?
Fine. How are you?
Well, you know, I was just saying, it's been a hell of a week, hasn't it? I mean, it's like, could this get any more bonkers? And then everyone's like, hold my beer.
I think I think that it was always going to be like when we got to this point of the conventions. They were gonna take it to another level.
Another level of nuttiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they managed to get there and some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Wayne's
hearing people describe it as a religious experience from all the people that were there. It was like a religious experience.
Cult, specifically a cult. But the fact there were people there in the audience with the fake bandage on their ear in solidarity. It was just it was surreal. It was like something from like Monty Python. It couldn't.
I did a cartoon early in the morning when I heard the news of a MAGA hat with one of those pillows attached to it, and tried to sell them for $99. And then within 2 hours, everybody's actually wearing the damn thing. I mean, you have to admire the merch stalls, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's obvious though. It's really obvious, and apparently he's been selling shoes as well, which have the fight. Like I just got shot picture.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we still know what happened for that? Because I don't know whether he wasn't wearing his shoes or somehow like
he taking his shoes off.
Yeah, because he takes his shoes off with his lifts and stands on a box.
Yeah, he's got lifts, hasn't he? Yeah.
And then he needed to get them back on because if he didn't, he'd have been 5'4" limping off the stage, and he didn't want to be. So he needed to get his lifts back in.
I'm guessing Wayne's super amazing internet that he told us all about this week isn't working.
It's not that it's not working; it's that it hasn't been installed yet. So yes, it's not working. Well, I was going to make a joke about the whole Microsoft thing going down today, all being Wayne's fault because it obviously plugged into the internet and it just shuts it all down. I've accidentally deleted the internet, like on the IT crowd. Puddinator, thank you very much for the first super chat of the evening. First of all, evening all. Thank you, Puddinator. I'm tired. My shift turned from 8 hours to 11 hours due to tech issue. Second, where's the bowler hat, man? Cheers, Ollie.
I'll raise you a bowler
hat. Oh, God, look at that.
Oh,
He's got a fez on top of it.
Bottle glass.
Dirty bastard.
Bottle glass.
This is like the 16th iteration of the Doctor. Someone's pointed out that Liv Truss is a new embarrassment every day. Has anyone seen the shower head thing?
No,
no,
what's
do
this?
tell.
Scott's seen it. I know Scott's seen it because of that face that he just pulled. Okay, have you ever cringed so much that you've been in traction for 6 months? That's how bad it is. It is just off the charts.
She literally has
Embarrassing.
the Liberty Bell is her shower head.
Yeah, she's got the same shower head as Ronald Reagan had. She's telling an audience of people this. She said, I bought a shower head and it's made in Pennsylvania and it's of the Liberty Bell. And it's the same one that Ronald Reagan had.
Wow.
And you're just like, what is going on? What?
Scott has turned the same colour as Rachel's brick.
Smoking, like I want what she has.
I don't know if she's trying to
of her dealer. It's batshit.
It's beyond batshit.
She's been walking around that conference, vacant, dead eyes. They've been interviewing you. Why are you here? Were you invited here? It's like, and it's not like Boris who wanted to sit in an empty room in front of everybody. She hasn't got anything going on. She's just wandering around.
I'm not sure she's even got a ticket, to be honest with you.
Oh, I know.
She's just
Farage
outside,
is the best
hanging
one. He's
around.
getting slower. Over the 4 days, he's got slowly more and more angry when they're going, shouldn't you be in Clacton? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you invited?
Have you actually met Donald yet? Have you met Donald?
He's
yet?
like, I can have a holiday. He said, I can have a holiday. He's only been elected for a week and a half. And he's like, I deserve a holiday. I've been working so hard. I deserve a week holiday. I'm like, what other job in the world do you have for a week and a half? And go, right, that's it. I'm off to America now for a few days.
I guarantee that Liz Truss has used the term, do you know who I am, at least once this week.
and the answer's been no.
Have you slept with my first pig?
Well, there was another clip concerning Liv Truss, who this was on the newsagents, and essentially she was asked which conservative leader she most admired apart from Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher. And do you know what she said? Ollie? No, funnier than that. Ollie, our friend over in Argentina, Javier Milei, who is the anarcho-capitalist leader of Argentina, right?
Yeah,
so
getting economic advice from his ghost dog.
This week,
Jesus.
he was asked what he thought of Liz Truss, to which he said "Quién," as in who? And he had to have explained to him who she was, and he went, "I have no idea who that is or what you're talking about."
This reminds me of the famous Arsenal song. What do you think of Tottenham?
Who that?
I'm not getting done for demonetizing this.
But that interview with Farage, why here? Well, aren't you worried about Ukraine? We need to show strength, not weakness. And he's thinking, no, we need to show diplomacy, not strength, because the strength didn't work for the Nazis, Nige. Which I know is your whole bag, but it's about diplomacy and and tactical fighting. It doesn't have to be.
There was someone at the conference who said that they stormed the beaches at Normandy to fight the communists.
Yes, the communists.
That was Don Jr.'s wife, isn't it?
Was it?
Yeah. But my
thinking makes my head hurt.
My favorite tweet from a couple of weeks ago on when the D-Day stuff was going on.
Yeah.
Was Douglas Barter's granddaughter saying, "My father would have hated everything you stand for," in her tweet to Nigel Farage. That was amazing.
That and true as well. Absolutely true.
Although Douglas Barter was a bit of an arsehole, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't. He was
according
to little bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the guy who lost his legs and still flew missions, and then he got shot down over Germany and escaped?
It's in.
They gave him some new legs, and he escaped.
I've met him.
Really?
When I was about 8 years old.
Well, I'd say keep back if he's a friend of yours. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the Battle of Britain. I'm not that bloody old.
That wanker.
Yes, you are.
Don't just sit there. Get one up.
Hold up. Rachel's like reinvented herself more than fucking Madonna. You know what I mean?
Rachel's literally living her 8th life.
I'm Clan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod, and I cannot die.
There can be only one.
It's
There's
a
this
kind of
really, really old looking picture of Rachel up in the attic. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
and it's ugly.
31 Blaze said Mateless had the best question for Farage. Why would Trump want you here? Oh, it was beautiful. It was Emily Mateless absolutely on fire.
She's been on fire this week.
She literally. Before I came on, I was just watching her talking to some silly bollocks American Republican, and she absolutely destroyed her with one question. She was smirking, and the questioner was like,
Kerry Lake.
"What?"
I was about to say that. Yeah, it was the governor of Arizona.
She's not though, is she? She lost. Former.
No,
she lost. Yeah.
Former governor. Yeah.
But she was smirking, going, "Oh yeah, but you might say this, but you're from across the pond and all that." And like Mateless was just like, just absolutely.
I mean, that woman is especially batshit. Like she's Liz Truss level batshit.
Yes.
And the American version, I guess.
But also a more competent communicator, like because she's got a TV background, she comes across as almost human.
Nice light ring, you know.
Yeah,
that's what I heard about. Was it Pop Bitch this week who was saying about Liv Truth? She can't actually get any work now because no one will pay her to present because she's got no charisma whatsoever. No. It's got to be something where GB News will literally employ Leanne Thal and Jacob Rees-Mogg, and you have to be that bad to not be employed by them. You have to be.
You can't deny they are charismatic. They're assholes, but they're charismatic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like there's reason why people voted for them. But we hate their form of charisma. That's the problem. Like and most people do.
Can we also spare a thought for Tiffany Trump? Because my word,
well, she got slighted by Donald, didn't she?
Yeah.
Like trying to kiss her own dad. He was like, "Excuse me, shoe," and then it happened to him on the stage by his own wife, who literally was like, "Why?
Ew, not gonna kiss you."
She looked disgusted through the whole thing. She didn't want to be there. She hates him. She hates everything about this. Like
the money.
What was it? I was watching the Midas Touch, and they reckon that she's there because they had to renegotiate the prenup, which I thought was hysterical.
No, I think she's smart on contracts, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Liz Truss is like that. You know that bit of wallpaper paste that you just have to pour away. It's just like pointless. It serves no purpose. That's literally her. She's just get rid. Just. Bye-bye.
He's not an MP anymore.
He needs her. He absolutely needs her. There is no way the American public would, I think, Republican wouldn't vote for someone who wasn't married. That's like a big deal to them, the whole family value thing. So
yeah, Scott, you can talk to this. Isn't it that atheists are the most untrusted people in American politics?
What? Well, in a way, yeah. They're not untrusted. It's just that you have to remember that America, for its religious freedoms, is predominantly a Christian country, and that is a huge pool of people that are voting. You have to sort of show that you have some sort of spiritual, religious.
I've just been watching a few bits and pieces online, and it's like atheists are the most untrusted people in
an atheist. I don't see an atheist becoming the president in my lifetime.
What about an agnostic? I like an agnostic.
Yeah, nah, not in a million years.
I could see it happening in our lifetime.
You reckon?
I really could. Yeah. Keir Starmer's the first prime minister not to swear on the Bible.
Yeah, but then look what happened to Clive. What's his face?
Yeah.
You know, people can get really fickle.
Yeah, but Clive Lewis wasn't about God; it was about the king, wasn't it?
The king, yeah. But again,
there's a hierarchy in England, and the king definitely comes above Kate Middleton, then the king, and then God.
Yeah, and then
Taylor Swift.
There was not.
All right, whoa. You're talking about Her Majesty Taylor.
Tay-Tay.
Yeah, it's all right. See,
Yeah, don't fuck with Tay-Tay.
Why'd you fucking naked?
Everybody
we
has
get
their
into the
limit,
discussion of
Wayne.
Swiftonomics.
Swiftonomics.
The only decent billionaire out there.
And she's the one that what was it estimated? Every time she's playing London, she's literally bringing millions to the economy.
I couldn't name one Taylor Swift song.
Really?
Yeah,
Shake It Off.
That was what was playing when I was doing the Spitfires.
Anti-hero. What?
When you were waving Douglas off.
Rachel, I'm afraid you've been trumped, unfortunately, by Mike Organ in the chat, who says he met Yuri Gagarin in the lift of the Eiffel Tower in 1963. I was 8, but even I was impressed. He actually spoke to me in French, and I don't care.
Rachel was 36 at the time, so could have met him as well.
I went up after the dog. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rachel, what regeneration stage were you at that time?
Yeah, so I'm in my 9th generation, so I'm kind of
Taylor Swift is
straight into the doctor.
Taylor Swift is old enough to run for president now. She's 35.
Yeah.
Were you like John Pertwee at that time, or what?
Yeah, I was just my head going.
Someone's pointed out, Business Cat in the chat said they were founded by Puritan pilgrims. It never left most of the rural culture. And I mean, there was after that, there were waves of immigrants who came and brought their own religion with them.
Isn't American history like the pilgrims arrived, all the Christians arrived, and they're all fluffy, and then they nearly starved to death, so the Indians fed them, and then they killed all the Indians? Isn't that the first sort of? Isn't that the whole?
I mean, it was the blueprint. Like the literal blueprint of what we see now, and but America is still considered very much a Christian country. Like you cannot be president unless you declare that you have some sort of faith.
Well, there was the whole thing with was it Kennedy, because he wasn't he was Roman Catholic, wasn't he?
Yes,
and
that was very controversial. That was very controversial. But if I'm not mistaken, isn't Biden a Catholic?
Yeah.
Right. So that's not as controversial as I think the Christians would rather they had something. Which is white. I mean, there's not going to be a Muslim in America.
Wayne, your internet. Stop talking. Sorry, your internet has gone all tits up. Go fix your internet.
But
put another 50p in the internet.
Put a pound in the box.
Before we go to Rachel, can I just say a huge thank you to Yorosh, who has dropped €50 into the super chat. Thank you very much for that. That's very, very generous of you. Anyone else feel like the world gets more screwed up every year? Anyhow, there is a serious lack of super chats here. Well, you've made up for that. Thank you so much, Yorosh. I think that actually the world is getting better. It's just that it's a bit peaks and troughs, but the overall picture is, infant mortality has gone down, literacy is up, the number of people living in poverty has gone down. Overall, it is, we're getting there. The number of inclusion.
I have one question.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when the Trump maniacs come for you?
Rip my shirt off and declare Trump maniac. It's Trump Mania 24!
I'm not scared of Trump. You will be.
This is Howard.
Did you see how excited Trump was when Hulk Hogan was talking?
He
was like,
he had a chub on.
He's basically 10 years old, isn't he?
Came true.
Yeah.
But it is all tied in with wrestling, isn't it?
Hulk Hogan's bingo.
You remember that he did do a WWE match once.
Yeah, he did 3.
Is that Wayne? Wayne, are you talking to us from the bottom of a well?
I'm having flashbacks to the 1930s again. It sounds like one of my mouth radios.
Okay, Wayne.
Hello, Berlin.
Wayne, give it a second.
Paper in my hand from Chancellor Hitler.
Wayne's getting new internet this week, and goddamn, we need it. Before we go on,
I'll wait till it gets this new internet.
Darius in the chat, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. That's really kind of you. Thank you. And the message is, did anyone watch Alan Lichtman Q&A today on his channel with his son? He was saying getting rid of Biden is the worst thing the Democrats can do. Now,
Alan Rickman, I thought he passed away.
Alan Lichtman.
Oh, sorry.
Or Lichman, I guess.
Hello, Potter.
Potter.
That sounds like the porno name of the
Harry Potter.
Roger Porkham.
Anyway, Ollie shared with us a clip earlier, which was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, saying exactly the same thing. So, Ollie, do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So AOC's whole, I think, reason for doing this initially is
You wrote an essay on this in the chat.
there is very much
too long didn't read, and then it was like the longest too long didn't read you could ever read.
Yeah, well, she was talking for an hour, so
You had a lot to say about it.
Before we even talk about what she said, there's a reason I think why she's
Wayne's trying to talk again.
Wayne, stop trying to talk. Wayne, stop talking. All right, I'm gonna have to mute Wayne in a moment. Wayne, give it a minute, and we might have internet. Anyway, Ollie, back to Ollie. Ollie.
Anyway, the whole reason why she's doing it is because they are really worried at the moment if the progressive movement is to sort of survive in the Democrat Party, if they are seen to be pushing to get rid of Biden, that they might essentially lose massive ground, which AOC and the rest of the squad have really made up for. We saw just a couple of days ago, Biden came out, and I think he's like the first ever American president to put on or even talk about national rent control, which in terms of something progressive for America is pretty big to have national rent control on the discussion table. Now, it might not happen.
But is he the only person who can bring that in? Surely someone else could.
Yeah, they could, but there's this thing that
Ollie, did you see his speech about that, where he misread the auto cue?
No.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be announcing a 5% cap or something, or a 50% cap. Yeah, 5% a year cap, and he read the auto cue as $55.
Yeah. So there's the whole thing of, and he said a lot of those progressive things in there.
That should be it right there, though. I'm not trying to. Sorry, Ollie. That should be it right there.
Yeah.
This amazing policy, and he can't even fucking read it right.
Thank you for buying the 106 auto cue. This is wrong, isn't it? You get years of
insert filler words here. Talk some techno babble. It's
so the TDLR is the TDLR is one thing. The Republicans and the Supreme Court might get a bit litigious if they switch from Biden. That's certainly something to be worried about, because you can't really fight an election campaign while you're also trying to simultaneously fight a legal battle against the Supreme Court at the same time.
Who would bring that?
That is something.
What case would they bring?
It would be, I think, around campaign issues or campaign laws. I can't remember now off the top of my head. I'll have to quickly go back to my TDLR.
This was one thing I wanted to actually pull you up on when I read your thing, and I think I started napping. No offense to you. They haven't had their convention yet, and they haven't put forward officially a nominee for president.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what are they going to sue him for?
Well, this is it, because at the moment all the money, remember, has been organized for the Biden-Harris campaign, and that is that is from what I at least I can remember off the top of my head. That's
why it's got to be Harris.
What it would be around.
Well, I think that's why Harris has to be on the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't need. She's the only
option.
The lead on the ticket, does she? She could still be the VP.
I'm not 100% sure of that. On that,
the irony of Trump bringing a court case about misuse of campaign funds would be.
I think would be, I think a step too far for the Americans.
We've had before we talk about campaign funding in a moment. I just want to say that we've had a very important question come in from Questionable Absanity, who's asking: is Rachel really small, or are they really large bricks?
They are very. That is true. I will change that. It is. I am very small. No, I'm 5'10".
I'm about to say you are not small.
There you go. I moved closer to the camera, but yeah, I took these bricks are on my wall of my house because everyone's going, oh, where'd you get that background? You got copyright for that background. You got copyright for that background. You got
Who
copyright.
asked
For
you
that.
for a
I've had
compliment
enough.
of bricks?
So I just took a picture of the wall outside my house and shoved it up as a background.
That's fair enough. There you go. Well, that's your answer, questionable insanity.
Yeah.
I'll thank you for the super chat. Anyway, let's talk about campaign financing because here's some juicy details. So JD Vance or JP Malance or whatever Trump called him, he raised $1 million to help. What was it? Was it to help with the
opioids
epidemic in America?
Victims of opioid death.
Yeah, $1 million he raised in his home state, and he spent it all on his campaign to become a senator.
Yeah, amazing.
What a guy!
Shocker.
He's an asshole.
Is he an asshole? Is he?
Yeah, well,
but he did call Trump Hitler. He did say he was America's Hitler.
But the other thing about JD Vance, right? Everyone goes, "Oh, he used to be progressive," and he
He's
wrote
not
this
progressive
book,
at all.
but he was never progressive. What he did was he wrote the book, and everybody, the New York elites on the left, invited him to, and he went to all that stuff, and he played that game. But he always had those views, and now he's chairing. He was always that person, and there are lots of people in the Appalachian belt, whatever it's called, the Rust Belt, who say, "Thank you," who said he was always an arsehole. He was always like that. He's just now let his guard down.
Yeah, that is the worst person you could have behind Trump. Someone pushing that policies behind him.
Yeah,
especially when the fact that he's publicly said, "I do not care what happens to Ukraine."
Yeah.
Yeah. He insulted Britain, from the start.
Saying that the Labour government meant that we were the first Islamist country with nukes.
Oh my God, for real.
And also, he's gone on record to say that abortion should be illegal, even in cases of rape and incest.
Yep.
I mean, he's an evil man.
Most of them think that now. This whole idea of it being a state issue, that I think it was Mike Johnson, the speaker, was being questioned by a journalist on Politico platform, and they said, so now that that's been handed down to the states, I guess you're going to leave the blue states alone. He said, no, we're not. No, we're not leaving the blue states alone.
Yeah.
So and it's part of Project 2025. So
yeah, and Agenda 47. Yeah, but it is. And there's something else called schedule. I can always call something through.
Pennsylvania fell apart. What happened there? Where'd he go?
I don't know.
You mean Wayne-mania?
But it's like if Trump does have a heart attack, one burger too much, there is MAGA 2.0 right there.
Right behind him, man. Yeah. He's a nasty piece of work.
He worries me far more than Trump does.
Yeah, and
because
he's another one.
Nikki
I
Haley
see him.
as well.
I see him as a Sarah Palin type character. A donut who's willing to say all the really, really horrible stuff that the president, the main.
I'm not sure about.
I mean,
let's be honest with you. He did write a book. I don't think Sarah Palin could do that herself. But I think the worst thing about him. The worst thing about him is he appears to be reasonably competent, and I think he might deliver. Yeah. He might actually deliver on 2025.
Yeah,
well, no, that's the scary thing, because Trump doesn't give a shit about any policies apart from tax breaks. That's the only one he cares about. Really.
Golf. Nikki, does someone mention Nikki Haley? She was invited to the conference.
Well, she said never Trump, and then blah blah, throw straight in. I mean, there are Trump. The worst
that she's Indian. She changed it. Well, she didn't change it. She uses her middle name, but her actual real name is Nimarata. And
another thing about Sikh parents that people are freaking out about is the fact that his wife is Indian.
Yes. Well, Trump's wife's an immigrant as well.
Yeah,
but no, JD Vance's wife is an Indian.
Oh, is that even worse? I've
seen one of their Muslims, didn't she?
Oh, that's a point. Yeah.
And that can spook a lot of those, wacko voters.
Yeah.
We've got Roger Devine in the chat saying that super chats are woke, which is true. So all our woke friends should throw some more super chats in the pot.
I like the Devine. That's a really good surname as well.
Yeah, be more woke. Be more woke, should I say?
That is awesome. But so I mean, I want to talk a little bit about not necessarily the assassination attempt. It's not really because I need sort of conspiracy roots here, but
You've got to realise he nearly
the
died.
reaction to it. The reaction to it, where we've got Kyle Gass from Tenacious D has now split up the band essentially by making a joke that Jack Black laughed at and the audience laughed at about making a wish that next time that they didn't miss. I'm looking at that and thinking, hang on, when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked, tied up and hit with a fucking hammer in his house, Donald Trump's son got a picture of, what was it, some underwear and a hammer, and said that he was going out for Halloween dressed as Nancy Pelosi's husband.
Yeah.
Trump were taking the piss out of it about a couple of minutes before somebody tried to attack his ear with a bullet.
Yeah. And Trump.
So why is it all right for them to take the piss, but we can't?
The snowflakes, they're the things that we call us.
Trump did the same thing. Trump was mocking Pelosi's husband getting beat with a hammer, and then said, and they had a wall, wasn't a very good wall.
Yeah.
It was just there. I mean, they turn into snowflakes when you attack them, but when
they go mental.
Yeah,
and they did this time as well, especially with someone like Tenacious D, who probably had a lot of Republican sort of fans, because they are one of those bands that everyone
even got one of their albums,
right? So everyone kind of likes Jack Black, right?
Yeah.
And Jack Black, once he got that backlash, he was like, "Well, I got Disney to think about, I got Hollywood to think about." He was out the door. He threw his friend.
Likes voicing his animated characters more than Tenacious D.
Right. Well, that's his bread and butter. That makes him millions of dollars.
Hey, Scott, I've got in the chat. We got Jupp telling us that apparently Grindr, the use of the app has skyrocketed since the Republican convention started.
Yeah, it literally crashed a few times apparently during the first couple of days.
But it's like
the convention.
But that's it's like that, the hypocritical sort of the Republicans. I put it in the chat once that the trans porn sites are viewed the most in the red states.
The most in the red states. They are, a lot of them are very closeted homosexuals, and
well, we know that some of those right-wing commentators,
trans admirers.
Alex
one
Jones
of those
was
really
caught
hard
as well
rights.
at one time.
Alex Jones.
Yeah.
But one of those hard
trans
right
porn.
Yeah.
But one of those hard right ones, I'm not going to name it.
What?
Is always makes his staff dress up in women's clothing and stuff during in the office.
Stephen Crowder.
I wasn't going to say that, but okay. Ollie, I hope he doesn't.
Allegedly.
Oh no.
Allegedly.
All the lawyers. Allegedly.
It's like Lindsey Graham.
Allegedly.
According to our ex-friend, Ollie.
Yeah.
And that's really weird. Right?
We barely knew him.
You're out of the band, Ollie.
Allegedly, Lindsey Graham, one of the biggest conservatives.
Old hat Manu.
Ma. Hello, me, ma.
Yeah, he's
Oh, I can't believe that.
I'd say he's in the closet, but
Come out of the closet, Lindsay.
Well, maybe if you don't want your kid to be gay, don't give him a name like Lindsay.
hey, don't gender a name like that.
Sorry, Scott.
We all live in a free and wonderful society where men and women can be called Lindsay if they want,
Or Hillary, or Francis, or lots of
Or,
lovely names.
Fun
Sam,
Greek
Pat.
names.
Yeah. I just want to go back to Ollie was telling that story about AOC. So what's the feeling then? I would still want Biden to step down because I don't think he can win. And I think I'd rather put everything on black and spin the wheel and see what happens than go where we are. What's your view, Oz?
Two of the big things she was bringing up is electability. And I think that was one of the big things that she'd think about, that the people who want to replace Biden right now, they've thought about, okay, we're going to replace him, but they haven't thought about the actual nuts and bolts, the mechanics of it. So there's a lot of that stuff that they haven't thought about. So there's still that has to be
That's
done
so
before
disappointing.
that can be replaced. There's obviously still the electability, because Biden does have a lot of reach into a lot of communities that aren't necessarily just going to transfer to someone else because it's a different candidate.
Yeah.
There's the unions as well to worry about, because they can't immediately back a new candidate. They've got to go to a convention. They've got to have all their own votes and stuff as well. So that's not going to easily translate over as well. So there's
but again,
electability
they
stuff.
haven't had their convention. Like at any point, someone can come in. If Gavin Newsom wanted to suddenly start running for president, he could do that.
It's a point. Like, what if he died? What if Biden died tomorrow? They wouldn't be able to back him as president. So if he resigns, they won't be able to. I mean, I don't see the
I think she was panicking.
The fact that they haven't sorted out, some kind of smooth transition in case this happened is absolutely abhorrent. I'm really pissed off with the Democrat Party, if this is true, for not preparing for this event, for this possibility, considering his age, his fragility.
One of the things AOC was saying last year was they wanted to replace him last year. Like they were talking about this last year, that they should replace him, and the very same people. Oh.
Sorry, Ollie. I was listening to something today that somebody was talking about Bernie having Bernie Sanders having some sort of weird plan. Is it all part of that? Is that what AOC is backing?
Maybe there's that, because he's certainly, the progressives have backed him. I think they're worried about being seen as, depending whether they come down on this, if they win, and sort of Biden goes on, then they've suddenly got a lot of progressive agendas that they can sort of pursue that Biden did in the speech, like I said, a couple of days ago. If they backed like getting rid of Biden and Biden lost, then there's a lot of progressive cred that like AOC and like the rest of like the progressive in Congress that have been building up that they could lose. So there is, it's sort of, I think they are very much trying to play the game and keeping
I think that the whole progressive thing is bullshit. I think at the end of the day, right, there's a real and true threat that Donald Trump is going to become the president of the United States.
And then all bets are off.
I think we need to, perhaps put that into perspective. They need to put that into perspective and say, you know what? Who is going to beat him? Yeah, that's what they need. And they need someone who's just as much of a character as he is. Yeah. Because and then when the Democrats get into power, then lobby for the progressive agenda, right? But it ain't gonna happen at all if Trump's the president. Right? Yeah, so AOC needs to look at the bigger picture.
And if they were worried about him a year ago, well, then it was never going to get any better. And we know they've been covering for him, so they should have switched him out. So it's their own fault. We need to put. If they put a younger candidate. I think that Harris should be on the main ticket. You've got the black progressive vote. You've got somebody that's incumbent, which is that incumbent key if you're into keys. You're also, but you get somebody younger, somebody a bit distanced from from Biden's view on Palestine, Israel, which might get some of those votes back. Somebody that's got a pulse, that's younger, it's going to bring a much more younger, vibrant. Yeah. I just think you've got a more sporting chance. It just feels like
it's funny because every time the Democrats feel that they haven't got a chance, they end up running a candidate like Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, where they're kind of going, okay, well, let that young guy have a go because he doesn't stand a chance of winning, and then they end up president.
Winning, yeah.
I really do think they should have the balls to put a woman in the job, basically, and I think
they tried that.
Perfectly qualified for it.
So they tried that, though.
Yeah, but not
and that woman lost.
Well, that's
not that woman.
Not that woman. Be keeping Biden hanging on.
I didn't sleep with that woman.
Hang on. Before it wasn't Monica Lewinsky who's done. We got a super chat. We got a super chat off the Bulldog. First super chat from the Bulldog. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I've got some good friends in the US. I've always considered them good, regular people, but one by one they're coming out as Trumpers. If he's appealing to these people, what hope is left? I had a very, very similar experience when I was in Panama. I was surrounded by American immigrants. What do you call them? They call themselves expats, but immigrants. And they were all lovely. Absolutely, would do anything for you. Really kind, really generous. Bloody good laugh. And then Trump came along and they were all like, yeah, I like this guy. And I'm like, he is the literal Antichrist. And they're like, no, he's not. We love him.
Yeah,
but they don't see the policy stuff. They won't see that unless their life is actually affected by it. And if you say you got an expat who's living in Panama, their lives will not be affected by anything that Donald Trump does. So they like him as a person, right? And his patter and all that charismatic
shit. It's Trump's magic is that he just never talks about policy ever.
Right.
You know,
It feels
so
like the-
anytime you hear a soundbite, it's always about some hateful thing, or some
Shit.
fearful
Batteries
thing,
and
or-
rubbish.
sharks. Or
It's
just
like-
a lot of
Yeah,
nonsense.
yeah.
yeah.
What is he gonna do? Yeah.
But it feels like that Christopher Walken film where he can see the future and he can see the president's bad and he's trying to convince everybody.
Yeah.
And we're the worst of the world is Christopher Walken going, this guy's going to blow the world up and kill and
Yeah.
wreck America, and nobody believes this.
Yeah.
But I mean, what we saw this week was literally, a scene out of Idiocracy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Featuring Kid Rock.
literal whoever wrote that was the current Nostradamus.
Yeah.
It was Mike Judge.
It
It was Mike Judge, the guy behind Silicon Valley and Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
And Office Space.
One of my favourite documentaries is
I mean-
Idiocracy.
But even he didn't think Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan would be
Kid Rock.
the convention.
I mean, did you see that meager audience as well?
Yeah,
I mean, it was
pathetic.
embarrassing.
But you could have played The Wall, the Pink Floyd The Wall to that, get him up against the wall. Yeah. But you could that soundtrack was just fitting that conference. It just
Yeah, but you got to buy rights for this sort of stuff, and Pink Floyd, I'm sure, would not, or anybody who represents them would not want that.
I don't know. There's a couple of members of Pink Floyd who'd be quite happy to have it played.
One of them looks
Certainly one of them, anyway.
Yeah, one of them's got a bit
Is
suspect.
it Roger Waters who's gone?
Yeah.
We've got I had another chat in that was going to mention. Sfax says thank you for supporting Ukraine. Since 2022, I'm very worried to watch leftist content because I'm afraid of what I'm afraid to hear, even from people I used to admire. Well, this is a very pro-Ukrainian channel.
Yeah.
I've been to Ukraine a few times now with taking over supplies and picking up refugees from over there. And I really, really fucking hate Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
There's one person I could take out, I'll take him out. And I don't mean for dinner.
Out
And
the
then
window.
Trump.
Yeah. We're going to
You
get
could
Andy
take him out for a
again.
bit of Russia tea,
Oh,
can't you?
Putin
Yeah,
gone to
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Defenestrate him. But yeah, I mean, Phil and I were talking about this earlier about how he has destabilized parts of the world in order to create refugees, because he knows that refugees are the quickest way to get populists in power, and populists are the easiest puppets for him to control.
Bear in mind, he might have backed the wrong horse. I put it in the chat about the Russian oil tanker. That the Houthis hit.
Yes, the Houthis have blown up an oil tanker and it was full of Russian oil going to China.
Headed to China, yeah.
Yes.
Whoopsies.
Yes.
And they'd been saying for a while, oh, don't worry, Russian and Chinese ships, don't worry, we're not going to attack you. But
They did.
yeah, they did, because they don't know what they're firing at. They haven't got a clue which ship is which.
Well, that's the thing. All ships kind of look a bit the same. That's why they have names.
But didn't
But they've
Starmer
got
and
no
Lammy come out
programs or
today
anything like
against
that,
the
it's blind firing.
Russian dark oil fleets? Did I read that right?
Yes.
Tell us more.
So it's, Starmer and Lammy came out and said that there is a dark traffic in oil that Russia is maintaining and that we're not going to tolerate it anymore and we're using the Navy to stop it. So us and the Houthis against Russia
You
now.
think we're in bed with the Houthis?
Well, we are an Islamic state now, aren't we, according to JD?
Oh yeah,
Vance?
according to JD, old JD down in good old Ohio.
J-Dog.
The J-Dog, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what the world that Putin has managed to create is bloody terrifying, and it's really upsetting that there are people dying every day in Ukraine because of a war that doesn't need to be happening, and this is a huge mess up by it's a fuck up by Putin, because he just thought he was unstoppable. He got to the point where he's like, I can get away with anything now. I'm going to try and invade the whole of Ukraine. And he's obviously bit off more than he can chew. The ironic thing with this is, if he wins, right, if Trump gets in and NATO falls apart, say,
It won't fall apart.
if he wins, it's going to cost him more to rebuild Ukraine with people fighting against him still in Ukraine, because obviously the general population will continue to mount civil disobedience and attack Russians there, then it will, even if he loses. So now, right, it would be cheaper for him to just cut his losses and just pay for reparations to rebuild Ukraine, which is going to go into the trillions of dollars. Not rubles, because they're going to be worthless.
But he's batshit. He doesn't think of it like that. He's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a hell of a mess for his successor, who doesn't fall out the window to pick up on the other side. But Russia's going
Is that JD Vance?
Yes. It's going to be
J-Dog.
tremendously diminished at the end of all
now.
this.
Yeah, in fact, the Shogu, I can't even say his name now. Shoigu, the Russian foreign minister, did actually praise JD Vance. So yeah,
it's all
the
there,
Russian
isn't
cake.
it? It's a nightmare formation of a nightmare.
No, I'd say to me, he's more worrying than Trump.
Yeah, he
Far
is.
more worrying than
Frightening.
Trump.
The Duma in Russia, which is the Russian parliament, it's been around since the 10th century. Okay, so this is over 1,000 years old, this institution. And when Trump was elected, they stood up and applauded. And that was the first time in the 1,000-year history of the Russian Duma that they stood up and applauded the election of someone in a country that's supposed to be an opposition country.
Well, it's because they knew they got a useful idiot.
Well, there was but a couple of weeks ago there was when Trump was speaking at one of his rallies, a Russian diplomatic plane mysteriously pulled up next to his jet at this airport, and there were people going backwards and forwards. And so, I mean, there was rumors that Putin might have been on that jet, but nobody knows. But there were definitely lots of, and that never, I mean, because the left-wing media in America is owned by right-wing media people donating to Trump, so that's why CNN and MSB are banging on about Biden all the time, and his age are not talking about Trump. But that jet pulled up part next to Trump's 727. There was a lot of dialogue going on, and it didn't make the news. And it was
Viktor Orban's been running messages, hasn't he, for the last 2 weeks between Mar-a-Lago and the Kremlin.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, that's another useful idiot.
Yeah.
Again, he did his whole peace trail, which was so ridiculous because it came out of it like, oh well, we've just found out that the Russians and the Ukrainians are just so far apart, and it's just like, that's what we've been saying for months.
That's why might be why they're shooting at each other as well. You never know. It's like,
but there is a good thing about. I mean, there are green shoots in Hungary. There's been a lot of dissent there, and there's also the changes in the banking rules that the EU put in that he's been relying on might mean he gets into a little bit of trouble. So I don't know.
I think he's running into a lot more trouble than we think.
Good.
To be honest, Orban, a lot more trouble.
Good.
I hope so. I hope so, because I hate that man as well.
Yeah.
Anyone have trouble with the IT outage today?
No.
I went to the doctors, had to get a paper script.
But I think it was the trans hackers. You see, you saw the furries hack the Heritage Foundation a couple of weeks. You see,
there's been about 3 different speeches at the Republican convention in which they blamed trans people.
I know. Well, we're responsible for everything: climate change, shooting Kennedy.
Be proud of yourself. See what you've done.
My cat got hit by a car and killed in 1995, and I think it was the fault of the trans people.
It was us.
Yeah.
Sorry. We just can't help ourselves. We're just so happy we're treated
Rachel,
so well.
Just apologise and own it.
Yeah, well, no, we love our lives. We just get treated so lovely.
What that cat ever do to you, eh?
Yeah.
We're just trying to be the villains because we're loved by everybody.
Yeah, I had problems with my editing software today, so
that was
you're going to apologise for that as well.
I know someone who works in IT, and they've had the day from hell.
Yeah, well, they should be running Windows 95, Ollie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those publicity things, though. Like, it only affects Windows PCs, but it's not Microsoft's fault, is it? It's a third party. One of these security companies. But
the British nuclear deterrent runs on Windows 95, so there you go.
Yeah, of course.
Well, doesn't the American nuclear deterrent run on like 5.25-inch floppies?
Probably. Doesn't surprise me.
No use to anyone, those floppies.
And the Russian one runs on broken Windows, so
yeah, broken Windows. Someone throw it out the window. Yoni, thank you very much for the €2 super chat. Southwestern Airlines still uses Windows 3.1, no problems. It's just,
311 work groups was my favorite.
Yeah. But also this week, the J.K. Rowling.
You mean the Labour advisor on trans?
The Labour advisor on medicine.
How did that happen?
She the mask slipped, in which she used the word cure. when talking about
J.K.
trans
Rowling, and
people.
my picture fell off the wall. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, there you go, witchcraft. So this is exactly, how we always say, this is like just what the gay panic was like in the 1980s.
100%.
They used to talk about curing people who were gay.
Yeah.
That's convention.
Electric shock therapy.
Mm.
Yeah, they tried that in the 50s, the electric shock therapy, lobotomies, all that sort of stuff, So is that the road she wants to go down in the conversion therapy sort of sphere?
Yes,
it's
it is.
disgusting. It's disgusting.
She wants to
And I know I'm
let
talking over
nature
Rachel,
take its
which
course.
I'm gonna stop doing. Go on.
Now Labour we've got Lisa Nanny's gone a bit dodge. We know Wes Streeting's gone a bit dodge. That she said today, let trans kids should go through puberty and then they'll get over it. Basically, and though the kids are self-harming and killing themselves,
Suicidal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And earlier on in the week, the Equality and Human Rights Commission sent out guidance that said trans women can't apply for women-only jobs unless they've got a gender recognition certificate, which loads and loads of trans women don't have. And it's just this. Labour's not going to do even the conversion therapy. They call it practices. I guarantee there'll be a restriction on trans in there. Labour. Although
if there is, I will be tremendously disappointed. I think
they have decided, they've made a political decision to throw trans people under the bus. They don't want to fight on that beach, and they're not going to do it. And they've given up. They've just severing that off. And I know there are Labour MPs speaking up and stuff in Labour, but I just don't see that they're going to fight this. It's not politically opportune.
I am.
I think enough people in the party will fight it.
I mean, we sat here. Sorry, Rachel. We did sit here though before the election, and we said week after week, right, that if Labour will win, we will hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah,
we will try to hold them accountable. And this is just the start, right? Okay. At some point, I need to get hit. I need to find Wes Streeting in a dark room and sit his ass down and say, listen, bitch, do it.
Yeah. There's so many
do it to our fucking family.
So the current plan, Scott, is to kidnap Wes Streeting, put him in a dark room, give him a good talking to.
No, I was talking about like a cruising dark room because he's a homosexual.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I understand.
I mean, Labour will fight a bit. I mean, I obviously worked hard to get Labour in, and because I wanted PR.
Yeah,
and there are some good Labour MPs, but I just think there's it feels like there's a strategic decision to throw trans people under the bus. They're not going to fight,
and that's perfectly valid. And I don't blame you for that at all. I just think that this is where we have to test that idea of saying, well, we were going to hold their feet to the fire. We will try to affect change from within. This is the first hurdle.
I think I agree, right? But I'm connected to thousands of trans people, and they're all fucking
angry.
Because why do you meet an author who's outed 10 trans women online, who attacks us every day? Yeah. What the optics of a political party meeting because she has lots of money and 40 million followers, whatever. That is outrageous. She has no skin in this game.
Yeah.
And yet there she is. The party in government met with her. That's outrageous.
That's wrong.
I'm livid about it.
It's wrong.
The previous two elections, she was the largest individual donor to the Labour Party, which is more than likely why she had a meeting. She didn't donate this time, and that's more than likely.
Well, she didn't donate. She doesn't get a voice.
Well, precisely. Yeah, I think. Well, personally, I think she was more dangerous than Braverman because she tried to affect the election on this issue.
Yeah.
She was talking about it last Tuesday, 2 weeks ago, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
I've got
that's something else that's popped up. Apparently, Braverman, all her allies have now ditched her.
Ooh, can we talk about this in a moment? Because we've got a couple of surgeries, a couple of super chats. Sorry, one of the words.
I could do surgeries. I used to be a doctor, but that was in 1912.
Okay, cool.
I'll just get the bone saw.
Rachel's like Mr. Ben. She just goes into the shop and puts on an outfit.
That brings back so many memories.
Puninator, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. I work admin in a GP surgery. Today was horrid. I can imagine. I can imagine. And the Bald Orc there for £10. Thank you very much, Super Chat, for that. I've got another good friend in Moscow. We've been friends for 15 years. She's a 5'0" lady, very openly gay, and goes on anti-Putin marches. Braver than I could ever hope to be. Shout out to Olya. So thank you, Olya. Respect.
It's funny you mentioned the GP, and I know that the whole GP thing was this whole outage, which I don't know a whole lot about. I'm honest with you, I haven't read up on that yet. But when we talk about turfs, did you hear about this? This Kelly Jean
Oh God,
turfy face.
Posey Parker.
Posey Parker. She's been stricken off her own GP register because she went in there to the GP and saw that the receptionist was a trans man. And she was not happy about it. She kicked off. She doxed the surgery on her little podcast show. She kicked off so much that they struck her off, and she's upset.
Yeah. I think this is what is going to doom that side to lose, because it's exactly what happened during the gay panic as well.
Yeah,
they demonize people to such an extent, and then when they meet these people in the field or in real life, or they get to know these people, they suddenly go, what was this all about?
When Nazis rock up to you and protest, then you're on the wrong side. It's that they've been there standing at her rallies, and it's like, God's sake.
But she's truly batshit. Like
she's she only got about 100 people voting for her. She stood in the last election.
Yeah, the trans girl.
I got more people voting for me.
The trans girl beat her.
There was a trans girl running I think there was a trans person running against her in that and got more votes. She's a
very, very misogynistic woman. And she does believe that women shouldn't be allowed to have abortions, and she's vile. She's absolutely vile. Anyway, yes, I was just going to say, everyone in the chat, listen, there's a lot of complaints this week about messages, I think, disappearing. People are writing messages and they're just not appearing. Yeah. The moderation is not set to strict; it's just set to basic on the comments and on the chat on this channel. At the moment, it is YouTube. YouTube are being super duper strict because of the assassination attempt of Trump over the weekend. So if you do want to say something, try using a euphemism like unalived instead of dead,
or in Minecraft,
taken out for a nice meal instead of taken out to be shot in the back of the head or something.
Yeah, but do you see the one, just back to Posey Parker? She was criticizing that the protection of Trump were women. Some of them were women. And was one of the women was a slightly larger build and was saying, "Look at the state of that woman," and it was really misogynistic.
Oh yes,
comment.
Oh yeah, she misgenders people all the time. They're actual cisgendered people. She thinks they're trans. She's a loon. She's a complete loon.
But they've already gone loon. They're saying, the hard right, the people that we've been speaking about. I won't get on a plane if it's a black person flying because that's DEI. I won't get on a plane because a woman's flying.
Yeah, sorry.
This is the crap they come out with. I mean, John Deere and a load of other corporates are so worried now. They're dropping all their DEI programs now. John Deere dropped theirs today, and another manufacturer dropped theirs. All the American companies are getting rid of all their DEI people. They're not doing positive action. They're not recruiting diversity because they're terrified of right-wingers, which is what they wanted to do. But just saying, I'm not getting on a plane because a black person's flying it or a woman's flying it. I mean, that is just the most ridiculous stuff. And it's just gone batshit crazy over there now.
Yeah,
and it's coming over here. We're having that. It's even more. Some of those fun organizations that you've got in America, they're in London and they're working really hard to try and do. I mean, what if Trump does win? One hopes when they put the wall up and go full Handmaid's Tale in America, that the Heritage Foundation and all that lot will be so concentrating on making white hoods and red gowns and stuff. They're not going to worry. They won't have the money to concentrate on Europe for a few years. But
yeah, I mean, if you remember, after they got rid of Roe v. Wade, there was a ton of dark money started flowing in to the UK and even to Ireland as well.
Yeah.
And
they're really trying to sort of tackle and bring back
tried to make abortion an issue over here, and it just didn't fly at all, did it?
No.
$6 billion. They spent $6 billion in Europe over about 5 years. The UN wrote a report to create well, basically get women to attract trans people. That worked. But also try and break the T off LGBT. And that's worked to a certain extent because there's a lot of LGBT people attacking trans people. But the idea is to cause the dissent, get LGBT people out of the way, and then women are exposed. And that's the strategy. And that was the UN wrote the report.
You've said that before, Rachel, haven't you? That they go
trans
back
kids,
through
trans
the
adults,
LGBTQ.
same-sex marriage, women.
And if you can get women, women to fight that fight against
on
the
our
LGBT.
front, so because we won't be there to fight on yours. That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, look, one of the things about America is it does like to send people out around the world to fuck things up in other people's countries.
Yeah.
And a good example of this is Uganda,
Yeah.
in which a country where, you know, being gay wasn't legal, but it was getting there, you know, things were changing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly a bunch of American evangelicals went over to Kampala and said, right, this is it. We're gonna make it so that being gay is punishable by death. And they almost got it. They almost got it in Uganda to make being gay punishable by death. And that is like, I mean, it's shocking on any level. But when we talk about Russian meddling in other countries, we also must acknowledge American meddling in other
does
countries.
it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole missionary movement is about it's modern colonization. It's trying to move the people of sort of African countries away from their traditional ways to a Christian way.
But also America. Sorry,
and Islam. But I don't know if any of you have ever seen. A friend of mine made a documentary called "Praying for Armageddon," which has got some terrifying data in there. She's got incredible access, but literally there are church movements in the States raising huge amounts of money to support Trump and other characters to bring about Armageddon.
The rapture.
Because they believe in the rapture and that God.
Love that rapture thing. Oh yeah.
I worked in a temp job quite a few years ago where a guy in the office literally believed in the rapture, and he had a date for it, but I had left by then. So I emailed him the day after to see if he was gone.
How'd it gone?
No, he didn't. He had to buy everyone lunch because that was the deal.
She found a great Hell's Angels gang that are knights for Jesus, and they're ready to go and fight alongside Jesus. And they describe in Revelations that Jesus will be riding his white horse with blood up to the hilt. And they're all on their little motorbikes. And you think, do you know where a horse's bit is? Because you're going to drown in blood, guys.
Oh, yeah.
You're going across the desert.
I love the idea that they all think they're going to survive the apocalypse.
Yeah.
The rapture. They're going to be brought up into heaven. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you've done some really fucked up stuff in the past that is going to bar you from being in heaven.
That's why.
And all these billionaires think they're going to go to heaven? Mate. Jesus said, "You're not going to get to heaven."
No, all the millionaires
to New Zealand or Mars.
But all the millionaires will get killed by their security staff in their bunkers. So that's not going to work for them. But also, I always think it's funny in the apocalyptic films, they're all running around looking for petrol. Where just stop driving around looking for petrol, then you don't need petrol. It's a big flaw in the Mad Max films.
Need a lot less petrol.
It's like in the Star Trek franchise where they don't have cloaking devices and I just say paint the spaceships black.
Yeah.
It's paint black.
Yeah.
The thing about space is it's black.
Exactly.
The thing about black holes are. Anyway, Ivan, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. That's really kind of you. Thoughts on the continuing Tory circus with the replacement to Sunak? Well, we'll come on to that in a moment, my friend. The Bald Orc, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Last one for tonight. Farage survived the plane crash and Trump survived the shooter. Are we living in the bad timeline or what?
Oh yeah, we're in the
sliding doors
timeline. We're in the Biff timeline on the
Biff timeline. Love Labour. Sorry, politics, social. Keep up the good work, Graham. Thank you very much, Bulldog. And Tim Ballon has entered the super chat. Frey, thank you very much for that, Tim. Saying the number of Mormon adverts I've seen on your channel is disturbing, Graham. I do watch them and like to give you extra funding. Well, I saw an advert, not on one of my videos, but I was watching a video of Legal Eagle and a video advert with Lawrence Fox came up.
Really?
And I vomited all over the table and then I've sent Google the bill for a new table. because my old one's covered in vomit.
What was
Oh,
he?
God.
What was he selling?
What's he selling?
I don't know.
Nazi
as soon as he came
uniforms.
on, I pressed a little question mark and said, "What is
He's
this?"
selling flammable LGBTQ plus bunting.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't know. I
Surprised
just made
me.
that up. I made it up.
Oh, no.
Your
Very
watch says-
last bucket.
Your
He
watch
makes
says,
flammable
"Don't do
ones.
physics, Graham." All right, bloody hell, your watch. It's just only
Yeah.
a joke.
But I mean, I'm not surprised by the Mormon adverts because we know, we've seen Graham's Osmond's record collection. He likes
Yes,
a bit of
I do.
Marie and Donnie.
Have you seen the Book of Mormon, the stage show?
Mm.
God, it's funny. It's a
Yeah,
bit like
I can definitely recommend going to see it. It's very
Have
good.
you've seen it, Ollie? So they
Yes, very
get
good.
these Mormon missionaries are all like, let's go.
Yeah,
Go
the
to,
spooky,
go to
spooky
Uganda.
Mormon hell dream.
Yeah, and they end up in this little
That's what they do. They
village.
go to Uganda and they spread
Yeah.
their Christianity. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
the
don't
villagers
know.
are singing a song, and it's a bit like Hakuna Matata, but it's a different expression. And they're saying, whenever anything bad happens, we say this expression, and they do a big song and dance. And the Mormons are joining in, and they're all dancing along, and they're all singing this African song. And then one of them says, what does it actually mean in English? And big smiling African says, it means, fuck you, God, in the ass. God, it's funny.
I've got to say, when you talk about Mormons, you just reminded me of a story. I remember one day, it was Yorkshire Day, and for me, Yorkshire Day is going out for a few beers and drinking some cracking Yorkshire ales, whether it's Old Peculiar or Old Fart or whatever. And I've got to admit, I can't remember what time it was. No, it was about 8, 9 o'clock. And to say I were 3 sheets to the wind was an understatement, because when it comes to ales, they do me in. And anyway, as I was just coming out of the shoulder of Mutt and making my way towards the bus stop, I were accosted by 2 Americans from Texas, Mormons. And I went, what are you doing in Bradford? Oh, it's spreading the word and all that
Missionaries.
Oh,
stuff.
there's loads of Church of Latter-day Saints in England.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there are loads of them. Loads of Mormon churches.
Mm.
And evangelicals. We're a mission target because we're
100%.
godless.
I had a group of
Yeah, 'cause
Jehovah's
I-
Witnesses
I-
come to my island in Panama. They came in a little dugout canoe. They
Shut
literally
the fuck-
they
shut
paddled
up.
to my island.
That's not one of those.
What?
Spread the
But
word.
But
Is
yeah,
Well, they
Graham
tried to
making
sell
shit
you
up
the
again?
book.
The Watchtower. No, they had the copy of the
Watchtower,
Watchtower leaflet.
But they have that. They're like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. And I was like, come on, because I just ran a party and anyone could turn up. It was great. I invited them in. I made a nice hot cup of tea for them all. And then I told them all why they were wrong. That was fun.
So the thing
You
is,
know, the Mormons actually stand outside the Book of Mormon musical recruiting,
Yes.
Oh my
and
goodness.
they have leaflets saying, "You've seen the musical, now read the book."
Well,
Yeah, they do
actually,
run an advert even in the playbill as well.
Yeah,
For Mormonism.
the Book of Mormon, although it is very sacrilegious, it's quite nice to the Mormons. Like the actual Mormons are good characters in it. They're not played for laughs necessarily. I mean, they're a bit naive, but it's affectionate. It's affectionate humor. Because I think either Matt or Trey, the creators of South Park, who wrote it, I think one of them was brought up a Mormon, so he knows a lot about it.
I mean, I used to work on Tottenham Court Road, and I used to come out of Beach Street Tube every morning and walk past the Church of Scientology, and it was like, would you like to come in for a stress test? No. Every morning, would you like to come in for a stress test? No.
Personality.
5
test.
years of, would you like to come in for a stress test? No. Their big meter and their big electrodes.
Yeah.
It's
The
like,
E-meter.
I mean, it's always tempted, but you know,
I've seen that on the local high street. You just looking at her like you're just so crazy. Like
Yeah.
you're such a cold, you're such a weird.
well, that Louis Theroux documentary on the Church of Scientology, that kind of was really interesting. When I watched that, it was like, when he was there, they were following him around with a camera.
Oh no, that's what they do. If you go down that rabbit hole of learning about Scientology, which unfortunately I have, I think I watched like the whole first season of that Leah Remini leaving Scientology. They are nuts. Like we've talked about people being a little bit batshit crazy, delusional. You know, this Truss on the pipe. You know, Scientologists are a whole other level.
Wow.
I can imagine.
Of crazy.
Yeah.
I got
trans
a bit
people.
pissed off about there was a show on Showtime called Penn and Teller's Bullshit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I kind of enjoyed a few episodes of it. And I was like, oh, I'm really into this. And I noticed that they would never go after Scientology, which seemed like a really obvious one to do.
They are.
And I did a little bit of digging. It turned out like 90% of the stuff that they came out with was vox pops from the Koch Institute, as in, you know, the oil magnates. There's only one left now. They were the Koch brothers. So it's now the Koch brother. And a lot of it was just right-wing talking points. The whole episode on how recycling was bullshit.
Oh, my goodness.
And stuff like this. And it was just like, so what they've tried to do there is the best way of selling a lie, which is to sandwich it between two truths. So when they did an episode on vaccines, for instance, they were absolutely spot on. And that clip from that show went viral with them, you know, bowling balls towards the Skittles. It was very well done. But there were all points of it. And I'm like, why are you selling out? Why are you working for these evil billionaires?
One of them is a libertarian, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're poor, and they're probably not. They don't have the pull that they did in the 90s.
Well, it's
They're
really
poor.
funny because you know when you watch that documentary, you know, because obviously you know I'm old and I like Tom Cruise films from the 80s, and I've always kind of liked it, and I like all the Mission Impossible stuff. And yet he's pretty high up in that church, and you see him.
He is a god within that.
See him
church,
being
yeah.
quite subservient to some senior,
incredibly,
and
so
he's
is
bowing down to.
John Travolta.
Yeah.
Well, the leader of the Scientology church, Miscavige, no one knows where his wife's gone. His
Well,
wife
yeah, no, his
ago.
wife has been missing for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
In fact, that Louis Theroux documentary. There's two. There's the initial one,
Yeah.
and then the follow-up one. The follow-up one's really interesting because
Yeah, the breakaways.
one of the guys who was like part of like the Sea Org that was like following Louis around and like going after him like during that first documentary had left the church. So he's like dishing the dirt and said, "Oh yeah, this is what we were doing. Like we were following you around. We were."
He was the co-star with the Leah Remini one as well, I think. So that they would go and talk to leavers and try to dig, and then also showing them dealing with the people following them and stalking them. And there's a word for it. They call it. There's like a word that it's not stalking. They actually have a word for it. I can't remember.
Yeah, I know they do have one. It's like a specific one. It's not snow whiting, is it?
No, it's something like a word like that. Maybe the chat can tell us. But what they do is this certain thing where they harass them.
Yeah,
immensely.
And try and dig up any shit that they can.
Anything they can, and like we'll literally like print flyers out and post them on, polls and things.
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube.
Flyers of sexual pervert. There's
a guy on YouTube called
Mike Bunker. Huh?
There's a guy on YouTube called Mike Bunker who has fought against Scientology for years, and he's fought against it right in like pretty much their backyard because their Vatican City is a place called Clearwater.
Yes.
And he lives there, and he has documented what was happened to Clearwater since they've come and like taken over that town. Very, very interesting YouTube channel if you want to again go down that Scientology rabbit hole.
What's his name?
Mike Bunker.
Yeah. You have no idea how tempted I am to Google it right now.
I don't think I pronounced cock right. Is it? Because it's Kosh or something. But I'm just going to go with the Koch brothers.
But that thing
Institute. Is, did you talk a lot of cock?
But that thing is, when I met him, what made me notice him straight away? Just like let's say I live in Bradford, they were suited and boated. Proper suited and boated.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They stuck out like a blind cobbler's
Is this
thumb.
the Scientologists or the Mormons?
The
Mormons.
The Mormons. They stuck out like a blind cobbler's thumb, and then they were giving it all this and I said, "What are you doing here?" I said, I was doing some spreading. So then they said, "Can we give you this Bible?" And I went, "I mean, I'm just too nice for my own good, but I'm not stupid." And then they said,
Oh no! We'll never find out what they said because Darren, you just stopped.
Can we ring? Yeah,
Darren, we just lost you for a few seconds.
All right. Oh, sorry.
They handed you a Bible. That's where we got to.
Yeah.
And then he was stricken down by God.
Yeah, they handed me a Bible, and then they talked a little bit more. And then they said, "Can we have your number? Because we think we'd like to talk to you over a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever." And I went, "Yeah, no worries." So I just given my ex-girlfriend their number, my number, their number, the number for them.
Well, what I did when the Johos came,
she wasn't happy. She wasn't happy because I'd already given my name anyway, so she knew it was me, but she wasn't impressed. But I'd just give him. And then as I walked past him, as an heading towards boss, I just
in the chat, FM Struck is saying that
there's been Bible in there has been problem solved.
You put a Bible in the bin. That's sacrilege. From Struck in the chat is saying that the ch in cock is like the k in ch in Welsh, German, or heavy scouse. So koch, like that, koch, the fucking kochs. Anyway, I'll tell you what I did when the Jehovah's Witnesses came to my island. They gave me a Bible, and I'm an old choir boy. I know my way around the Bible, so I just pretended to flick through it, and I came upon, just by chance, Song of Solomon, chapter 5. I started reading it out. Would you like me to read it to you? Anyone? No? Okay, I will do. I am come to my garden, my sister, my spouse, my sister, okay. I have gathered my myrrh with my spice. I have eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I have drunk my wine with my milk. Who drinks wine and milk? Eat, O friends, drink, yea, drink abundantly, O beloved. Let's all get drunk, eh? I sleep, but my heart waketh. It is the voice of my beloved that knocketh, saying, Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my undefiled, for my head is full of dew, and my locks with the drops of the night. This is in the Bible. I have put off my coat, how shall I put it on? I have washed my feet, how shall I defile them? My beloved put his hand by the hole of the door, and my bowels were moved for him. I rose to open to my beloved, and my hands dropped with myrrh, and my fingers with sweet-smelling myrrh upon the handles of the lock.
You know,
I closed the Bible, and I said, you let your children read this.
Do you know, you remind me of there. Do you remember that film, Porky's Toe?
No, Davin.
Porky's Toe.
That's kind of before my time.
Porky's Toe.
That's quite specific.
That was what was left in Blockbuster when all the video, everything else was taken out.
In Porky's, it talks about all this stuff about these evangelical nutters, and they were doing a bit of a Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet, and there's you get these complete religious nut jobs. This one, his name is Bubba Flavor. And
wasn't he in Star Wars? Wasn't he a bounty hunter in Star Wars?
Boba Fett, you're thinking, I think.
Oh,
no. His name was Bubba Flavor. And he was so says the flock and all that stuff. And he walks into this school because they're doing Romeo and Juliet. And he's there reciting these lines in Romeo and Juliet, and the guy who's what you call the headmaster, we'd have it as the headmaster of the school, he's reciting stuff from the Bible, and he recited that same one that you've just spoke of.
Oh,
there.
Really? It's a good
yes,
part.
he did.
It's supposed to be a woman just, playing the devil's doorbell and having to think about, what a brother, I suppose, she wants to get up to.
And the thing is,
perfectly
when
normal.
they're having this massive sort of like beat down, you could say, and they were proper, and the headmaster said, "Get the flock out of here," and you know what I mean. Instead of I'm not going to swear. Get the flock out of here.
That's all right.
And there were one of the characters called. He died this year. I've forgotten his name now. Because he was a big guy, and apparently he had the bronze sword. He went, he just grabbed his bronze sword right in front of his face. And it's a hilarious
The
bit of the film.
80s were a wild time. Lots of cocaine. What can I say? Vendetta in the chat is saying Porky's was quite good. Always liked King Cottrell. Funny enough, you should mention King Cottrell. So we watched the last episode of this season of The Boys last night. And then for some reason, the next thing that came on, because, we just let it play, was Mannequin.
I watched that
King
King
Cottrell. And it is the ultimate 80s movie. I can't imagine.
So good.
It is so 80s. Like everything about it is so, the music, the look, the script, the acting, the clothes, just the story. Oh my God, it is Mannequin is peak 80s.
My name is Hollywood. Doesn't it just sing? I literally watched that, and then I watched She-Devil with Roseanne Barr afterwards. And was reminded that Roseanne Barr actually was a really cool working class hero at one point.
Yeah, she was. Now she's a Trumpster.
Yeah.
Tim,
I wanted to just quickly say, to go back to Scientology, I had to Google when the Scientologists harass you, it is called fair game.
Fair game.
Fair gaming. You are suppressive. And
suppressive, that's what you called, isn't it?
And you are fair game.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go. Sorry, I didn't get that.
When Graham was crazy, it just reminded me of that scene in Pulp Fiction. I will bring my vengeance down upon you, and I will not be weak.
There's some corking bits of the Bible. There's a bit where Lot's daughters get their dad drunk so they can rape him. There's a bit where there's a priest comes to a house and all these worthless men turn up and say, we want to have sex with you. And he's like, no, don't do that. But here's my concubine. You can do what you like with her. Wakes up in the morning. She's dead. And so he cuts her into pieces and sends her off, mails her off via the Royal Mail to different parts of Israel. Okay.
The Royal Mail was in the Bible.
Oh, something like that. He chopped her into bits, sent her around the land and said, look on this, consider.
But it was called the GPO at the time. But
the best quoting of scripture, though, especially if you're LGBT, is President Bartlett in West Wing.
Yes.
He says, and nobody sits in front of the president. But when he goes through all the scripture at this bigger right-wing professor.
Don't wear clothes woven of two types of material.
It's just, if you
don't
Google
pick up
it,
sticks
you
on a
find
Sunday.
it, Bartlett LGBT, Bible quote. It's just the best
Brilliant.
3 minutes you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Jesus famously never said anything about trans people or about gay people.
Nope.
He did say something about adultery, though. He mentioned it was a sin 3 times. Anyway, Tim, thank you very much for the super chat. Graham, you need to follow at Owen Morgan Telltale to understand the Johos. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm always nice to them. I'm never horrible to religious people. I've had some religious girlfriends in the past who was like super religious. And although I am a militant atheist,
you've been multiple girlfriends.
Yes, I've had at least 2.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's more shocking that he's had girlfriends rather than
I am ginger.
religious girlfriends.
Yeah.
Sorry, Graham.
Some of them were real as well. At least one of them was real.
Well, the last one sprang a leak.
Well, that's the joke about Harry Potter, isn't it? Get out, Rachel. Crichton, fetch Rachel and get out the punch repair kit. Number 3, thank you very much for the super chat. Religion, a castle built on sand. Yeah, probably. I mean, I mean, you go to the Vatican, and it's a fortress. You go around the back of the Vatican. It's built on the hill, and there's a massive, 8-foot wall, 8-foot wall around the back of it. It's insanely big, and you think, so this is the guy with God on his side. He lives in this massive castle fortress in the middle of one of the most heavily fortified cities.
Oh yes, you want to read about the Borgia popes? They're fun. They're fun to read about if you want a bit of Italian history.
Is it true, Ollie? Is it true that there's a chair that you have to sit in when you become pope, and they have to check your bollocks? There's a chair with a hole in for your bollocks.
I don't know,
and they have to check. Because apparently,
Where did I hear that?
A man with festering bollocks cannot attend the tabernacle of the Lord.
That was on the rest is history. No, they check your bollocks because at one point a woman actually was elected pope.
That's right.
Excellent. Is that Pope Joan?
There's a great joke Dave Allen used to tell the best Pope jokes, but he did a great one about the Pope drinking Chianti. You can Google it on YouTube about the Pope. About the Pope drinking. It's just so funny.
It is crazy
love
the amount of
Alan.
power that these institutions have over the souls, literally the souls of people. But I don't think, when I was younger, I was much more militant, much more anti-religion. But I realised that people lose their religion and they just find something else to cling on to. They just go on to like conspiracy theories or anti-vaccine or Trump or Boris Johnson. They'll find some other thing to worship. It's just some people are just hardwired to have to worship shit. I'm not.
Yeah. John Lennon was right. Imagine no religion.
I think everyone's a see you next Tuesday. Not present company excluded from that, obviously. And
that Graham, we're all very similar, and that's why we're all your disciples.
No, Graham. No.
Yes, we'll soon be wearing the same hat you're wearing.
I am not the Messiah. Only the true Messiah would deny his divinity. I am the Messiah.
Only the true Messiah would not do.
I touched his hat and I've never washed my hands.
You are a very naughty boy.
I challenge you to deny it 3 times.
Throw away the goal.
I was ill and now I am well.
Yeah.
Puddinator.
I was turned into a newt.
A newt? I got better.
Lots of newts.
Puddinator, thank you very much. By religious girlfriends, I think they were just trying to do some charity work, Graham. Joking. Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah. It's my joke about Harry Potter, isn't it? About the fact that it's so unrealistic because it's got a ginger kid in school and one of them's a girl. He's got 2 friends and one of them's a girl. He's ginger. Anyway, moving on. Everyone needs something to believe in. Graham doesn't see what it is yet, says some Super Tiny. I do believe in, I guess I believe in science. I believe in the incredible chance that we are here right now. I mean, that's just phenomenal. I believe, I believe that we all share DNA among, from its humblest sea sponge to the greatest giant redwood tree to ourselves. We're all cousins. We all share DNA, and if you are the product of
an excuse, Graham.
Unbroken chain. You
can't marry your cousin.
I can marry a tree if I want to. It was a sexy tree. But yeah,
I always thought it was a bit of a birch, was Graham.
We are all the product of an unbroken chain of reproduction going back to the first single-celled amoeba on Earth.
Brian Cox describes it as something like we are the ultimate evolution of the universe in that we are the bit of it that can see itself.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Brian
phenomenal.
Cox.
We made a stardust. Like the atoms that make up our bodies are formed in the heart of a dying star, apart from the hydrogen, which was formed by the Big Bang. Wow. So, that's what I believe in. And it's cool. I much prefer that myth to a wizard did it.
You're not Carl Sagan, are you? I mean,
I'd love to be Carl Sagan. Well, I wouldn't like to be dead, but he's a bit of a hero of mine.
He is, me too. The Carl Sagan.
Yeah. And John C says, have you ever heard of flirty fishing, Graham? No, not even in capitals. And Super Tony saying, maybe don't criticize believers. I'm not criticizing believers necessarily. I'm criticizing some of the things people believe when they don't necessarily lead to good outcomes. And I don't think that people believing that homosexuals are going to burn in hell forever is a particularly good outcome for anyone, really. It's not very nice, is it? Imagine if you're Catholic and you're in a school and you've got a friend who's Muslim and you're sitting there thinking, ooh, when you die, you're going to burn in the fiery lakes of hell. I think that's very nice.
Oh, it's not.
No. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Well, actually, I wouldn't wish going to heaven on anyone. Because I think they'll be bored within the first 5 minutes.
Right.
5 millennia.
The party's in hell for sure.
5 billion years.
Living eternally and having to learn to play a harp.
We've all seen, Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel, so we know what it's like.
Did anyone watch The Good Place?
Yes.
Yes,
great.
yeah.
Excellent.
I saw some of it. Yeah.
Very good philosophical review on the reality of, I don't know, the ideas of the afterlife.
A good watch.
But also makes a very good point that no one's good enough to get into the good place. Because of just modern life.
I think all the trans people are going to get in. We put up with a lot of shit. I think they're going to let us in first. And God, we're going to stalk the loos. They're ours. and we were going to judge. If you want to use the loo, you got to come for a trans person.
Wow, wouldn't that be brilliant? J.K. Rowling's
In it-
own personal hell, like in Bill and Ted, is a
There
toilet,
are.
and there's a trans person outside saying you can't use it, and she eternally needs a piss.
Sorry.
In heaven,
No-
there are
no eternal
only
relief
trans
for her.
toilets.
Yeah.
You have to prove you're not trans.
Sorry,
basically.
Kemi. This is an all gender loo.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sfax is saying The Good Place is an incredible show. It's very good. Someone else was saying that the Boys was very good. I don't want to be any spoilers for anyone. But...
No, don't spoil that yet. That's my weekend.
So yeah, there's going to be a 5th season. I don't know if that's a spoiler.
Oh, is there really? Excellent.
Well, if Trump doesn't win, if Trump wins, then you're not going to get another season of House of the Dragon
and season
Cobra
15
Kai
of The Handmaid's Tale.
Actually, I think Cobra Kai finishes this season. They just dropped the first half of the last season last night, I think.
That would be a massive boon for the UK if all these production companies suddenly started exiting the America.
Well, my cousin's a real estate agent in Canada, and he says a lot of very wealthy Americans are buying houses in Canada at the moment. Lots of them.
I should sell my island. I think I should sell my island to a wealthy American and use the money for good. I mean evil. I mean good.
Do you still actually have the island?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on Airbnb. You can stay there for about 60 quid a night.
You just
have a whole island to yourself. It's a bit crazy, but you know, it allows it to tick over. But yeah, I'd like to. I'd like to turn it into a big gay resort.
Is it? I mean, is it like the film The Island? Is everybody partying? They're taking loads of drugs and partying all night and just like.
Well, they were when I was there, but not since then. No, I'm not a big drug taker, so it probably wasn't drugs. It was just booze. It was just a lot of.
Everybody gets drunk and has it all.
Rum and coconuts and barbecues and pineapples.
Nice. That sounds like a party. I'm down. Let's go.
Big bonfire in the middle of the island, and then everyone can swim in the bioluminescence, which is great because you splash about and you glow in the water. The water around you glows. It's like being a glowy wizard.
But if it's an all-gay resort, that means we can do it naked, right?
Oh yeah. Skinny dipping is required.
Fun time.
That's all. Marcus wanted to do when he was on the island. He just wanted to be naked all the time. And we were trying to stream everything. I was like saying, Marcus, would you put some clothes on? And he's like, but it's so hot. I don't want to wear clothes. And I'm like, Marcus, please. We're going to be streaming on YouTube. And I don't want to get demonetized because I've got this naked guy walking around. But it's quite funny.
Yeah.
Naked carpentry with Marcus Kett. Bless him. Sound Like the Cat says lots of stuff is filmed in Toronto.
Yeah,
from TV series right through to movies.
Yeah, I think Suits was filmed in Toronto
and Vancouver.
Yeah, because when you see all the coming out in New York, you come out and you think it looks like you recognize the streets as being to Toronto.
Tax breaks.
Yeah.
Of course, the first Captain America film filmed in Manchester.
Yeah.
Tax breaks.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a bit of Captain America that was in Liverpool. You know the bit where he was chasing the guy in the docks in old 1930s New York at the beginning. That's Liverpool. That's Liverpool Docks. The Stanley Tobacco Warehouse, which also featured in Sherlock Holmes 2 and a bunch of other stuff.
I remember a couple of, I think, a few scenes of Peaky Blinders done in Bradford.
Yeah, and Full Metal Jacket was down in the Docklands.
There's a scene in Peaky Blinders that features my old school in Liverpool. I was like, oh my god, it's my school. And it was supposed to be 1920s Birmingham, but it wasn't.
Yeah, Bridgerton, not filmed too far. Wentworth House, not too far from here.
Layer Cake was filmed on top of a hotel they built in East India Quay in Docklands again.
Quite like Layer Cake.
Yeah,
I like that bit where they're in prison, aren't they? And there's some hippie in there who's got like 2 years for dealing like £20 million worth of drugs. And it's just those like old East End gangsters who are just in for like 10 years for robbing a bank. And he's like, we're in all fucking business, mate. Love that.
It's a great film, Layer Cake.
Yeah.
I like the yellow Range Rover in that. I fancy it. It's an old P30. I had an old P30 Range Rover when I was younger, and it wasn't yellow, but I wanted a yellow one because that was bright.
I think we should bring back a bit of colour in our cars. All our cars are now dark blue or grey.
I've had loads.
Yeah.
We need some more colour in our lives.
Beige Allegros with brown vinyl roofs.
My student car was a Derby, a Volkswagen Derby, which is a Polo with a boot, and it was in the 80s, and it had all the students called it the banana mobile, and that's what it was called. And it was just a 1.1 engine. Actually, I haven't even caught for speeding. I've had loads of fast cars, but that was the slowest car I've ever had, and I got caught doing 88 miles an hour down the M11 in it.
88.
Oh no!
Wow.
You can time travel at that speed, can't you?
You can.
Yes.
That's all it would do, though, 88. And the policeman went, my mum's got one of these when he pulled me over. I was like, oh, God.
So, since we're talking about motorways, can we talk a little bit about the protesters who were, well, they weren't even protesters, the organisers of the protesters who had a Zoom call with a fucker from the Sun newspaper was in on the call. And basically, they're serving 5 and 4 year sentences for organising a non-violent protest. Like, how do we all feel about this?
Entirely why I was trying to get Scott not to admit to the plan to capture West Streeting earlier in the Zoom call.
Oh, yeah.
In case someone from the Sun is watching this.
The thing is,
someone is from. Sorry, before you go on, Mike. If someone from the Sun is watching this, fuck off. Right, back to Mike now.
The thing about conspiracy to commit a crime, the intention has to be real. The mens rea, as they say in law, has to be real, and that what Scott didn't mean. He wanted to kidnap.
No. And
I've never seen West Streeting in a cruising bar.
Okay,
I've never seen him there. No, if I did, I would sit him down and say, "Look, my sister, what are you doing? No, I will not.
Legally okay now.
You need to hook up the trans people with their rights."
Yeah,
good on you. Anyway, Mike, what were you saying?
No, I mean, it's been talked about a lot today, isn't it? And my immediate reaction was that it is kind of ridiculous that our prisons are full and we're locking these people up for 5 and 4 years. When you read the ruling, most of them were on bail for very similar crimes. There is a long list of people that were affected, etc. Just in terms of the legal nature of it, you can sort of understand how it ended up getting to that point. So it's a bit more complex than should we lock these people up, but we really shouldn't be locking up protesters for longer than we lock up rapists and sex offenders and
absolutely
and more of them than we lock up rapists by the looks of it. It's just crazy. I think in an earlier podcast, Graham, you were talking about this, and it there's no justice in the law to a great extent. It doesn't feel right.
No. It feels incredibly disproportionate for what they did. And if we're going to go after people for causing economic damage and for making queues on the motorway, and that's all the Brexiters in jail. Thank you very much, please, for a long time. Because there was more economic damage and created much longer queues for much longer amount of time.
Yeah.
I have to go.
Oh no, Rachel.
I know, 10:30, Wellies, Friday night.
Wellies. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. Are you going back to your champagne, or have you already finished that?
I had that early Friday night. When you're trans, you've got to let off the weekend. You've got to start the weekend in style. And that is always a bottle of champagne on a Friday night. Always.
Fantastic stuff. Well, Rachel, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for all the nice comments in the chat. Have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, Rachel.
Oh, no. Rachel's gone. It's all our glamour gone. Oh, we got to glam up Bowler Hat Man. Come on, Ollie. Glam up. Perfect. Beautiful. But Ollie, how do you feel about these protesters who have been put in jail for a disgraceful amount of time?
Yeah, I'm just going to really echo what Mike already said. Really, it seems kind of pointless when you've got other people, wandering around. I mean, obviously, we've just had the riots in Leeds, and you've had the guy caught on camera setting fire to a bus, and it makes you wonder how long he's going to get, potentially put away for, compared to protesters. So yeah, we'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, it's entirely too disproportionate to, I think, what is done here. But
were you in the Politics Social WhatsApp chat earlier when everyone was arguing against Uncle Phil? He was like, they're just making his attitude towards it was like, they don't deserve that much of a sentence. But what is their aim? Is their aim to try and disrupt people's lives, or is it try and get us to think about climate change, or is it to change the mind of companies or the government? I mean, it didn't seem to achieve any of its objectives other than
it really
raising
doesn't.
awareness of
the
climate
larger
change.
Question about
everyone knows.
Does just stop oil actually achieve anything when it does these types of protests? I mean, we saw a couple of weeks ago the Stonehenge stuff. I don't really think that really achieved what they wanted in terms of attention. And then a couple of weeks after they did the Tufton Street, they went and oranged up Tufton Street as well. Now I think Tufton Street's a far more legitimate target than Stonehenge.
Yeah,
but
the problem is though, Tufton Street didn't get anywhere near the coverage.
Yeah.
And is it as a result of Stonehenge, or you have to go and attack something the Daily Mail doesn't want you to attack?
The Daily Mail.
Well, yeah.
Spale the
would they cover
newspapers
that?
Orange. But no,
there was an interview with one of the organisers who wasn't jailed this afternoon on the radio, and she was trying to make quite a clear point, which was, look, we think long and hard about this. We think, we do know that we are going to cause problems for people. We have blue light policies where we let ambulances and fire engines and police cars through.
Yes.
But ultimately, if we don't do these things on this scale, then we don't notice. Nobody notices at all, So
and that is a thing that I always feel about the anti-Brexit campaign. We had 1 million people marching on the street of London multiple times.
Yeah.
It got hardly any coverage whatsoever because we didn't smash anything
she was saying, who's the wildlife, the BBC wildlife guy, Chris Peckham?
Yeah.
Packham. He had 100,000 people on the street last weekend marching for climate change. Did anybody notice?
No.
Was it on any of the media? No, and this campaigner said, we could just send one person to block a motorway for 20 minutes and we'd get on the front page. So,
yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what Yaxley Lenin's weekend on the 27th of July causes, isn't it? I think.
Oh shit! What's he doing? Tell us what he's doing in a moment, because I've just got to say thank you to Tim for the super chat. Graham, were they not allowed to use global warming as a defence? I think they should have been, because they used the fact that Mr. Coulson was a slave trader as an excuse for dumping him in the drink in his statue, not himself, but the statue of was it William Coulson in the drink in Brighton, Bristol. God,
Bristol.
It's too late. And that was seen as a decent defence, and they got acquitted. Whereas this trial, not only did they not get acquitted, but
the judge did accept in the legal ruling that climate change is happening. So there's a thing.
Oh, good. I'm glad that's been legally adjudicated.
Did anybody watch? Did anyone listen to the James O'Brien show today?
I saw a bit of it.
Did you hear about the tale where he talked about the judge about the trial about a Derbyshire police officer?
Yeah. Mike Organs mentioned this in the chat. Same judge sentenced a police officer to a suspended sentence for physical assault, sexual assaults, it was, on a girl in his police car, a woman who was picked up by the police because she was drunk, and they said, "We will take you home." And they sexually assaulted her in the police car. And suspended sentence. And that, to me, has done more damage, because that damages people's faith in the police, which is at an all-time low after 14 years of Tory misrule and cutting the numbers, and then getting new people in who aren't actually accredited.
And like as you said, it's the same judge who sentenced these people to this, well, I'd say over the top sentence.
Yeah.
Most of it has been because we've had 14 years of very, very harsh ruling, of where it has pretty much been the norm of, if you aren't sent to jail, then clearly, that's not a harsh enough punishment. But there's plenty of alternatives for punishing people who do crimes, and a whole, from, shoplifting to etc., who you don't necessarily have to send them to jail. There's other things you could do to punish them. There's been talked about by, judges and etc. for years. Give us these extra, sentencing powers we can do, because we don't have to send them to jail. We could do different things to them, and yet that hasn't been the thinking, unfortunately.
Community I think we need service to be working in a petrol station.
Yeah, I think we need to be more Dutch in our approach to prisons. I think.
Yes.
Really good article. I think in the Guardian. I think it was last week. I think it was about this. And the Dutch approach to prisons. I think that
with
will be
Mr. Timpson being put into the government for prison reform. Then I'm hoping that's the way we're going to go.
I think that's very good, actually.
But
do we think
Mike,
that's
sorry?
No, just in terms of timing, like it's unfortunate that the case came up 2 weeks after Labour come in, isn't it? Because Labour voted against the laws of protests that Braverman brought in.
Yeah.
So it feels to me like they'd want to change them, but now they're in a bit of a trap, aren't they? Because when do you do that?
Yeah.
When do you change those laws?
It can't be a priority, unfortunately, because that first parliament, or this first parliament, I mean, they've got the longest King's speech in history, 39 bills that are going to go through, hopefully.
Have you seen what's in the what is it, the very amazingly named, what is it, the safety protection and meteorology bills?
No.
Which has basically said that we are going to align or mirror EU standards.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame. I'm sure
I'm sure the Brexiteers are going to be talking about that bill for years.
Colin Baker's pointing out in the chat, talking to James O'Brien, I thought he was joking when he said Suella Braverman it was going to sit in for him next Tuesday. She absolutely is. So see you next Tuesday, Suella.
Do you know what?
We should all call in.
When he mentioned that, and they was there saying he'll.
Oh no! Sorry, you're frozen.
Not believe it.
You're frozen, Davin. And Davin, you're frozen. What's up with your internet tonight? Are you bumming internet off poor old Wayne?
Oh, it's shit. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You just stopped. You just froze like a rabbit in headlights.
Oh, I don't know what it is. It has one of them. It's.
It's done it again.
Moment. But like as I was saying, when he mentioned this, he said you will not believe it. It'll be so far removed. Serving Conservative MP, and there were people saying this and that and the other. And I sent a tweet to LBC and James O'Brien about half an hour before I said, Suella Braverman.
Yeah,
as a joke.
Power to the people is saying, I thought that was just a rumor. It'll be very interesting if it's true. But Mike,
there's someone else who needs a job in the future because she's not going to be the Conservative leader.
Well, someone was saying that Kemi Badenoch, everyone's saying that.
I think it's hers. I think it's hers to lose. I think she's going to win it. She wins it easily. Honestly,
Kemi.
she wins it so easily.
Well, Kemi Badenoch.
Yeah,
I think James Cleverly.
Kemi Badenoch stood up in Parliament today and spoke to Angela Rayner in the most disgustingly condescending, simpering, Mrs. Umbridge kind of way. It really boiled my piss because she is a privately educated woman from a very wealthy background who was taking the piss out of someone who's working class, who was looking after her mum as a teenager, got pregnant at the age of 16, left school with bugger all in terms of qualifications, and now she's a deputy prime minister. And instead of being, happy that she's made it this far, we've got this horrible, snooty little woman, Kemi Badenoch, going, I'm here to help.
Well, that's what the Conservative membership will vote for.
God.
I don't see the membership going for Badenoch.
I don't.
They will.
Yeah, they will.
I am a frequent reader of Conservative Home.
Yeah, they will.
And Conservative Home over the years keeps on doing all these outreach. It is like the number one thing that the non-parliamentary party reads constantly, and they have predicted with their polls for going all the way back to Liz Truss. She was going to win.
Badenoch's beatable at every election, isn't she, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be a disaster for them, but...
She can just fight with Farage over who's the nastiest, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
that'll be a phase of the Conservative Civil War. What does she do about Farage? Does she welcome him into the party, and then that entire can of worms gets opened about? Well,
they hate him, don't they?
Some of those MPs then stay in the Conservative Party, or do they move over? Do they leave the party? Do they create a new party?
There is no way they bring Farage in because what are there 4 or 5 reform MPs, and they're already arguing with each other at the moment.
I wouldn't be sure at the moment because there's all these, the what went wrong articles that they've been publishing, and they're all talking about we need to unite the right. We need to unite the right.
Hey, Ollie, I bow to your knowledge on it, and I agree. I'm not saying that they won't do it. I'm just saying they'd be bloody morons to do it. Basically.
Oh yeah,
well,
they would be.
But
all power to them.
They are fucking morons.
Exactly.
So, Mike, you were talking a little bit earlier. We got a bit sidetracked there. So you're saying Tommy 10 Names is doing something next week?
Tommy 10 Names on the 27th of July has got a march on Parliament. They always do them on a Saturday.
March on Parliament.
Well, yeah, because the builders have to go to their jobs, don't they?
Yeah. To save Great Britain.
To save Great Britain from what? From Irishmen? From the like Tommy 10 Names, who's got an Irish.
I don't know, Graham. I know you're a very busy man, right? But I don't think you've been paying attention. We've been taken over by Islamic communists.
Yes, you do realise that. Yes, we're being destroyed.
Yes, and I for one bow to our new Islamic communist overlords.
Yeah, yes.
Were these the Islamists who were rioting in Leeds, who were Christian
the
Romanians?
Christians, yeah. But they're masters of disguise, as we all know.
Okay,
so, Romanians are not necessarily Muslim.
They're absolutely not Muslim in this case. No?
I
love the video. I absolutely love the video of the Muslim guy running around telling people not to set fire to buses, telling people to, why are you doing this to a police car? What the hell's wrong with you people, basically?
It's the fact that there was a geezer there with a lighter trying to light a chair on fire. It was ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. He didn't even try to hide his face. I thought...
I won't do the privilege of an advert for Tommy's little march, basically, but it does say, save Britain, protect our values, save our women, and it says, and then in very small print at the bottom of it, it says, come with a reasonably healthy attitude. It's like, what does that mean? That's his legal get out for when the pub fight starts. It won't be Tommy's fault.
Or they piss on the cenotaph.
Yeah.
More likely that.
Lovely blokes, really, aren't they, who attend these marches? That'd
be what will it be? About 5,000 people, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, how many people voted for Farage in Clacton and can get a boss, I guess.
Yeah, but
do you think there's anyone?
Can you get them to send onto central London? A lot of these people would have to come from different parts of the country and stuff, and they have to pay for that. And a lot of these people both of these people don't have a lot of money. So
it's one of the things I love about them. They basically say London is a no-go zone full of Islamic areas, etc.
Same for Bradford as well.
Yeah, so come to London then, everybody. Get on a coach, come down here and have a protest.
I wish I had the kind of unlimited money that would allow me to run a billboard campaign every week in Clacton. The new picture of somewhere shit in Clacton with the words Farage is doing nothing for Clacton, and just keep pushing it on every bus in Clacton, every billboard. Farage is
why
doing
I've signed
nothing.
Up to and following all like the local Clacton Facebook groups and social media, because I can guarantee you in like a few weeks' time, they are all going to be complaining about
the fact he's not there.
Farage.
He's in America.
Yeah, and he's not there and he's not doing anything for them.
Going, look at me, Trump. Look at me, Donald. It's all for you, Donald. I love you, Donald.
Don.
You say it's all
just
for
got
you.
Hulk Hogan.
It gives me Omen vibes. I just imagine him jumping out of a window.
Yeah, with a noose around his neck. That would be such a shame.
That would be terrible.
Yes.
I have a feeling.
I'm gonna have to go myself now.
Okay. Well, we're gonna wrap up in a minute.
Okay.
We're gonna wrap up at 10 o'clock. So if you want to hang on till then.
11 o'clock, you mean?
Oh God, I've fallen through a time portal again. Yes, I'm in 11 o'clock. Sorry, I got mixed up. British summertime. It's wrecking my head. We actually had a bit of a summertime today. It was actually quite hot.
Come to London. It is freaking hot down here.
Did you see? Did I put that picture of the down from my house?
Fan literally blowing on the back of my head.
I put
not a euphemism.
I must have put it. I don't know if I put it in the chat. I think I put it on Facebook. I put a picture of our thermometer. Not thermometer. What's it called? The heating controls. It's got how warm it is in the house, and we got up to 16.5 degrees today.
I hate you.
It's
like air conditioning.
God, the Victorians really knew how to build a build cold houses.
I'll tell you the temperature of my flat right now.
Oh,
I was
God.
just checking mine. I've got the doors and windows open, and it's 26 degrees in here. So.
I had my hoodie on
same here.
this morning, and then when I was doing the show with Phil, I had my hoodie on. Come to Durham, where the sun never shines. Svak says, I think there's something like Turkish minority in Romania, but otherwise it's certainly Christian. But, you know, it's
27
apparently
degrees
still
in my
not
flat.
European enough somehow. There's probably too European.
27 degrees in my flat.
That's all
There you
right,
go.
isn't it?
No, it's awful.
Is it?
Yes, I'm insulated. I can't handle this heat.
Oh. Sorry.
Well, on
You
that
know you live
bombshell-
longer in the tropics. People live longer in hot countries.
Not insulated, people.
Okay, have you got your windows open?
No.
I actually don't have the window open in here. I probably should open that. I don't have the curtains open though, so everyone in the street can see what I'm doing.
I've had the blind down all day so the sun doesn't come in the flat. Because it gets too hot otherwise. It's crazy. It's really warm down here today. I think I hit like 31.
I was trying to remember the word that I needed, and Ned Gibbons in the chat said thermostat. That's what I was trying to think. A thermostat.
A thermostat.
I put a picture up of the thermostat, and it was 16.5 degrees.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that. I was like, oh, I wish I was in Graham's house right now. Like, that's like a refrigerator in comparison to what we got down here today. It's been really warm today. I think tomorrow it's going to be a little less hot. I think it's going to start, the temperatures are going to go down a little bit, but today it hit like 31.
I miss the heat. There's someone who
Come to
lived
London,
in
bro.
Australia and the
crappy,
tropics.
awful,
And,
humid heat. I'm down.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate the heat.
yeah,
Huh?
I like it. I hate being cold.
Give me the winter anytime.
You guys literally
Give
live in
me
the
the
wrong
summer
area to
anytime.
stop liking the cold.
No, yeah, you're right.
Except
You're
for
right.
Mike. You live in Brighton, right?
I do live in Brighton.
It must be nice
Where
and
the
warm
sun
and
always
bright.
shines.
It's been beautiful today, apparently,
Yeah.
but I've been
Mind
working.
you, you're
all day,
wearing a
so-
vest and a shirt. I don't know how you're doing that.
Well, Scott, we got 4 minutes left. Do you want to tell us whether you think Biden should step down or not?
I've told you before, yes.
You think he should now?
100%. I told you that. When we had our first little, tip about it, I did say right there, like, I agree with you. It might be a really good idea if he steps down. I still don't believe that Trump will win the election, regardless of who the Democratic nominee is. I do not believe he will win the election. I don't think the shooting will make any difference. It's not going to move the dial. The people that will vote for Trump will still vote for Trump. I don't see the people that are the sort of swing voters. I don't see them having sympathy for it to the point where they're going to vote for him. I don't see that. And I do believe that no matter who is, I think common sense will out.
Okay. And yeah, fair enough. And,
and remember, in 3 of the key swing states, the GOP is bankrupt. Like those 3 things.
But I've got one last question for Scott before we go. Why
7 inches thick?
Why is America so batshit insane? Like, what is it? Is it something in the
Have we got an extra
water?
hour?
I'll ask that question.
How late are we going to start another 2-hour podcast?
Right. How long you got? I think just the shortest answer I can give is the media, the failed education system, and money and billionaires hoarding all the money.
Plus, the Pilgrim
Poverty.
Fathers were literally kicked out of England and Holland because they were batshit crazy.
Yeah,
Right.
they
Well,
wanted to
that's
paint all the churches white and close
Oh,
down all
no,
the theatres.
sorry. I would also say religion.
They wanted to close down all the whorehouses.
Well,
for
there's
God's
another
sake.
idea for a show for you, Graham, for the Politics Social. You and Scott, what's wrong with America?
What the
Yeah.
fuck
I'm
is
surprised
wrong
we
with America?
haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because he does the intersection with Rachel, and I don't ever get a fucking invite on that.
Do you want to do an episode of the intersection?
No.
Well, you just said you wanted an invite, and then you said no. Make up your bloody mind. We'll get you on. We'll get you on. Talk about
I don't mind really. I'm just yanking your chain.
Yeah. George has pointed out in the super chat, with 1 minute left to go of the podcast. But Trump has said he won't accept losing. Well, thanks very much for the super chat, George. And you're absolutely right. He won't, but he's not president. It's much more worrying if he doesn't accept losing if he's the president. If he's not the president, then,
That was all about an exchange of power. There won't be any real exchange of power if the Democrats win. It's just things stay the same.
Yeah.
Politico are predicting that it will be by Sunday night that Biden goes. So.
Well, on the BBC website, he's saying he's staying on. He's doubling down.
He's in a COVID fever, man. He doesn't know what
vows to run.
He thinks someone's going to come over and give him some cough syrup and he'll be okay. Like he doesn't know what's going on.
And apparently he's got that strain of COVID that the brain fog kicks in 3 weeks before the other symptoms.
Brilliant.
Well, we'll be here this time next week talking about the new nominee.
Right. which I personally am going to predict now. It will be Harris and Buttigieg.
I think you might be right.
I think the dream one for many Americans, certain progressives, would be Kamala Sanders.
He's too old.
He's an independent. He's not a Democrat.
You're replaced. Yeah, you're replaced.
Like I said, that is the dream ticket for a lot of people. It's not going to happen. But...
So you replace Biden with somebody who's older than Biden,
right?
Yeah,
but he'll be the VP, not the.
But and we have to stress that I don't think it's about age with Biden. I mean, the man appears to be ill. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, he's just
could happen at any age.
Ultimately, Mike, you're right. We should be thinking about Biden's health. Like, it's not fair on him to push him into doing something. It's a bit like when someone gets, pushed by their friends to go on X Factor, and they can't sing, and all the mates go, "You're gonna be great. You're gonna be great," and they make an absolute arse of themselves on national television because they can't sing for cheese.
The big donors were saying, we don't want to change Biden. And a lot of people saying last year, we have to change Biden. We have to have these caucuses so we can change candidate. And a lot of these people who are now saying we want to change him are the very same people who are saying, we don't want to change him last year. So, what a difference a year makes.
Bloody donors. Yeah, anyway.
And it's big. Yeah, he's degenerated in a year. You can see it. It's and it's sad. I think terribly sad.
The only donors that I like are the people who give money to this channel and also donor kebabs. Anyway, Scott or kebab, as Scott would say.
A what?
A kebab.
A kebab. I say kebab.
Oh, do you? Oh no, you've been anglicised.
You have been
assimilated into our culture.
I've been here too long, and
you say tap instead of force it.
I do have a partiality for doner kebab, but at the moment, I'm loving a chicken doner.
I'm very partial to a chicken doner.
I love it.
I'll be happy to share a chicken doner with you sometime.
You can share whatever you want.
Yay! Nice. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you to our guests, to Ollie and Mike and Scott and Darren. And obviously to Rachel and to poor old Wayne, who's off. Wayne. I don't know. I like to imagine that he's got like internet and he has to.
Next week.
He's got like one of those exercise bikes and he has to go on it really fast to make the internet work for about 10 minutes.
Wayne is coming for you.
It's so obvious.
But Wayne should have good internet this time next week.
You're going to have to dress up as the Ultimate Warrior, Scott, next week if he's going to be Hulk Hogan.
Dude, I have an American flag. I need to do that. You know what I mean? I need to do
grab the ropes and do the...
Yeah, just go crazy, What you're going to do?
Hulk out.
I'll take some cocaine beforehand. That will really amp it up a bit.
Excellent.
And get absolutely trousered as well.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone in the chat. Thanks for the super chats. Give us a like on the way out. We'll be back on Monday with Morning Brew at 9:30. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.
Bye.